You're muted, bro. This is a good start.
Are you serious?
You're good
Now
now.
you're good.
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I guess I've discovered that if I hit my desk, then apparently it makes me mute. And if I hit it like I just did, then it will unmute it. So I guess I have two mute
Clap
buttons.
on, clap off.
I guess, man. So mental note, don't pound on my desk. So no more dictator type rants on Speaking of Schmoedown. But welcome.
That's going to be a first.
Yeah. This is Speaking of Schmoedown special. Thomas Harper's here with us, the new Star Wars title champion. First of all, how are you doing? Yeah, that's amazing.
That is sexy as fuck.
Let me pull this up. That's awesome. That is really cool, man. I love it. I love
incentive to keep it.
Yeah, no shit, man.
Actually, we talked backstage, but that's it. So if you don't know, I'm a 501st cosplayer. What's up, Shug? That's my kit. That's my Rex kit. So it is wearable.
So awesome.
Sorry, I missed
Hey,
that.
Dagan.
Could you say?
That is so. Dude, I'll be honest. There's a part of me now that just doesn't even care about the belt and wants to talk about that about the kid. I mean, it's for a big kid. It's for an adult, dude. Okay, real quick. There's something I've always wanted. I've always wanted a jungle gym, like a big play set thing that was scaled for adults. I always thought that would be the baddest shit in the world. Like, imagine teeter-totters that are scaled up for adults. That would be the slides and stuff, dude. Oh, man. But anyway, that's a whole nother dream of mine.
I have to settle for Captain Rex.
Yeah. Hey, yours does sound better than mine. But yeah, I mean, how you doing? I mean, you've been fighting hard for it, and you've been training so hard for it, wanting it so bad. Now you actually do physically have it. How does it feel right now to have that in your house and know that it is yours?
It's still completely surreal, if I'm being honest. It doesn't. I kept it in the bike, so it showed up today. The video that I posted on Twitter and the Facebook group, that is, she was not impressed. She my oldest was happy with the bubble wrap, but not that. I told Christian that she has made her own belt out of that stuff, but you're gonna have to beat her in Princess Trivia to win that one. But I kept it in the box the entire time, and I was like, there was a brief moment where it showed up, and I was like, you know what? Nobody would know if I just took it out and then taped it back up in the box. But I was like, no, that will cheapen the moment. And so what you see is exactly, I was like, don't cut it. Just like whatever happens, record it and we'll post it. And so, yeah, but I didn't get much time. I had a meeting right after that I had to jump on. So I didn't even get a chance to like hold it and look at it, but it's hefty and it's like has exceeded my expectations. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, I could definitely, when you took it out of the box and your daughter was holding it and the belts, the belt buckles were clanking on the, I was like, that's no joke, man.
Yeah.
How heavy would you guess it is?
It's at least like 7 pounds, something like that. So good heft on it. It's like thick leather too. It's whoever made it. It's very nice. So I will not complain. The actual belt buckle is like a replica of Solo's belt buckle, which is really cool.
Wow.
Whoever did it had a really close attention to detail. I have to take some time tomorrow and kind of look over it a little bit more because there's some nuggets buried in there. They're like ammo pouches on the belt. So anyhow, it's been ferreted away at Damon's house for so long. Nobody's gotten a good chance to look at it. So
yeah. Well, and I have a feeling it's gonna be the same case with you now. You'll probably keep it for a little while, so you'll be the lucky one knowing all the details of the belt.
I've got till December at least. I told Nikki, I was like, it would be fitting if I just had to hand this right back to you and save the shipping. It's spectacular, but we're gonna do our best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Now, I am curious because throughout your whole run, you have been in character, you have been laser focused, but during your championship match, when you won it, we saw you break out of character. We saw the emotion come out. Could you explain me a bit, like what you were feeling and why you broke it out of character?
Well, there were a couple moments at the beginning. To get a Y-wing question wrong is like, like a Christian getting or like a devout Christian getting a question about the Bible wrong or something like that. So that my brain, that's one of the only times I think you will ever see my brain short circuit and hear part of a question lock on to the diversion and not listen to the rest and just write down what I think is they're trying to ask about. So I was angry at myself for that and for it to be on that particular question. And I meant what I said in my pre-match interview, which is that I fully expected Dimolanta to go perfect. And at that point in time, when he gets that question right, for those of you that maybe don't know, the comeuppance, that ship name, that only appears in the novelization of that movie. It does not appear in the visual dictionary. It does not appear in the movie, obviously. It doesn't appear on the damn toy if you buy toy versions of it. So it's a really obscure reference, but for him to get that without even blinking, no JTE, no nothing, I was like, he's dialed. He's dialed exactly as I expected him to be dialed in. He gets the perfect round. That's not fun to hear when you're on the receiving end of it. And you're just, I walk into the bonus question in a not fun position. Hearing an opponent get asked a bonus question when your board is down sucks. That is not fun. And the prospect being down 2, I think in my head, I was focused on, okay, just if he gets this wrong, you can make up 2 somewhere. Speed rounds have been difficult these last few matches in particular. There's maybe an opportunity there. We'll see what happens, but this isn't a 3-rounder. But there was a corner of my brain that was like 3 points down's a lot. That's for whatever reason, it was like there was almost this line in the sand that got drawn. And I didn't know round 2 would turn out how it did. So all I could hope was that he would get it wrong. And that was one of the most, if not the most difficult question that's ever been asked in the division. How it was asked, the kind of information it was asking for, there's just, it's been unmatched so far. So we'll see what happens in the tournament. But that's one of the single hardest questions that I've seen, especially for a bonus. Bonuses have typically been like in the 2 to 3 pointer range. That was like a 10-pointer, like match ender question. So, I broke out of character, but then you saw Kate sort of flex her managerial chops. And I think what makes her great is she knew what I needed in that moment. So she kind of centers me, a little bit of joking around, kind of brings me back to relaxed. You go back and you watch the gold leader match. I played loose that entire match. I probably played as loose as I have my entire time in the MTS. And a lot of that has to do with Evan, as terrible and awful a person as he is. But I enjoyed the banter. There was no point where I was like really wound up tight. And in that moment, I think she could sense that I was wound up. And you just had to kind of take the brim of my hat and refocus it a little bit. And after that point, I was dialed. A silly mistake, just a brain fart in the speed round. But other than that, I was proud of how I navigated the rest of the match. In my head, I was like, this is the ace match all over again. It's just that you're down. So you there's no room for error at this point. You just got to lock it in and get the questions right from here on out.
And talk about round 2, something I found interesting. I forgot which movie it was because I'm too much of a weed head to have memory, apparently. But I know you said, hey, I know this category, but the movie's very long. It might be deeper questions. This is the first time. Usually in Star Wars, unless it's heroes and villains or, mixed bag, they're like, hey, why not? Let's take it. You had a strategy. You seem to know what you want or what don't you want. Mm-hmm. So how did you come to that conclusion? What was your thought process when you got that category?
I saw Taco laugh at me, like mockingly. So
it's Taco.
Listen, Taco. If you have the choice between any other film that's not nearly 3 hours or 2.5 hours, whatever Revenge of the Sith is, and doesn't have like a 10-minute long like one-on-one between Palpatine and you pick your character with all sorts of quotes, then if you're more comfortable in Revenge of the Sith, then by all means. I'm fine if I land on that movie, but Star Wars, in a way, it's a micro version of singles until they expand the division, and you really have to look for angles where you can look for it. I really don't buy into the mentality that spinning away in this division shows weakness, because if it does, who cares? That's sitting in my house right now. So you could think whatever you want to think about what my view on these movies and my strengths and weaknesses. Also, if you think that if I'm afraid of Revenge of the Sith, okay, then give it to me on opponent's choice and we'll see what I do with it. But I think you have to look for strategic angles where you can. And if you're not looking for those things, if you're not analyzing the films and how they come up on the wheel and sort of where your prep is, then I don't know what to tell you. That you're not going to beat a player like me because I'm going to outmaneuver you like that. That people act like there's no strategy in the Star Wars division because of the lack of depth in movies. Those people don't have the belt.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to win the belt either. If you approach it with that sort of cavalier attitude, by all means, but you're going to constantly being looking up the mountain and wondering what it takes to get up there. And I say all that because it comes from a place of work. It's not like I came in and I was just like had a beautiful mind moment and just saw this stuff. That takes time. That takes like discussions with people like Lacey and Ross and Kate. It's time that I could be studying movies and going over my notes, but I feel that the strategy game is very important. It wasn't Star Wars knowledge that won this match. Like, let's not get that twisted. It was Schmoedown moments. This was a very different version of Damon DeMolanta 1. I have a lot of respect. Drew kind of hinted in or isolated in on that game-winning moment where he won the belt for the first time. And he said, that was a Schmoedown moment, right? That doesn't happen because Alex doesn't know the answer to that question. He absolutely did. It happened because the Schmoedown has a 15-second limit on you getting the answer, right? So him not pulling it in that time, that's a Schmoedown moment. My steal or, you pick your other moment in this game, those are Schmoedown moments, right? So in a way, would I have loved to have gotten another 5-round perfect match? Sure. But it was important to me to win in a fashion that showed folks that I can win and I can overcome adversity. I'm not going to walk into spectacular with people thinking, well, what happens when he gets knocked down and against a really tough opponent? What's he going to do then? Because all we've seen is just getting no questions wrong from Harper. They don't have to wonder about that now. They've seen that in the highest stakes match.
Yeah. I do want to ask a quick question about that first round, the question with the quote, and you added Master to it. At what point did you realize that Master was not a part of that line?
When Andrew shook his head, or when he cocked his head. There's probably a moment that every single competitor has where your gut is screaming at you one way or the other, or that your gut is like tugging at you from the inside. And there's that battle in those 15 seconds. Are you going to trust your gut or are you going to go another way? And this is one of those moments. And I very rarely go against my gut, but I sat there. The reason I burned the JTE is I was thinking about that word, getting 15 extra seconds. And that's the internal debate that I'm having with myself. And in that instance, I left it on there. That's how I saw the movie replaying in my mind. And, it cost me, but fortunately it didn't cost me the match.
And right there at the end, man, we have the DeMolanta had to answer his second question in order, third question to kick it back to you. And a part of me was like, man, I love DiMolanta, but you know, a part of me's like, dude, like get it wrong here just so he can win the title. You know what I mean? Like right now.
Sure.
But then I instantly my mind switched and I was like, no. I was like, dude, get it right and then let Harper win because he got his question right. And I was like, yeah, dude, that's, and then DiMolanta got it. And then I was just like, I don't know if I breathed that entire time, dude, from the
I don't
moment.
know if I did either.
Now, is it me, or usually it is intense, right? In general, the fourth round. This one was nail biting because especially when you miss it, my heart sank. I heard it, nah, and I'm like, oh no, Harper, what's going on? And then you can see Demolato skipping, and I haven't felt that nervous in a long time in a fourth round. What was going through your head? Were you feeling the intensity as well? Did you feel that this was a special fourth round, or was it just any other round for you?
I think so. By that point, it had been a long recording. It took twice as long to get this recorded, just because we ran into some hiccups along the way, production wise.
Okay.
And by that point in time, you just focus and in the moment, Ross like laughs, and when we were in training sessions, he likes to ask me what he calls like old English white guy names, and so I'm like, and so both of the character that I mixed Merrick up for and the actual character are played by older English white guys, and so I was like, mother, like of course I get tripped up on an old English white guy name. The smart play would have just been to pass and come back to it, particularly having the 2-point buffer that I did. I knew the answer is just one of those where your brain fixes on something and you just throttle up and go. So it's a lesson learned. I'm quite frankly glad that I touched the stove in that one. It's a lesson for the buzzers for sure that you better be damn sure. I'd rather not lose a point again, because that could have come back to bite me seriously had he been able to settle on Anakin a little faster on his speed round.
Yep.
And I know that, like, during your post-match interview, you were saying that your biggest threat is probably Ross. But I am curious, if you take Ross out of the equation and we put Dagan's question in, who do you think is the biggest threat in the tournament? Because you know your teammate very well, so you know he's a big threat. But just going off impressions of what you know of other players and what you've seen, what would be your choice?
So on the left side of the bracket, the Damon side, we'll call it the Ross side. On the Ross side of the bracket, I think it has to be Alex Damon. He is unburdened by IG at this point in the season. He's had time to reflect and, quite frankly, time to get pissed off even more than he was when he lost it the first time. And I have to believe there's a reason that he's not messing around with the second IG tournament, that he's not interested in anything else other than Star Wars right now. And there's a reason why he's chosen to continue his season, because he could have easily done IG and just let Star Wars sit until next year. He's a bit like a really, really busy guy, as is Molly. But there's a reason he chose the Star Wars tournament, because I think he fully intends to get back to Spectacular and battle for it. So he's obviously a threat. I think he's an even more dangerous threat than he typically is, because of how this year has gone. I think it's just poured kerosene on his fire. On the right side of the bracket, if he can get past Scrimshaw, which is going to be the, other than, spelling stuff wrong against me, his toughest challenge. I think Gold Leader's he's missed two questions in 4 matches. And so if he can get his spelling in order, I think his mom chimed in on Facebook today and asked if instead of the belt, it was a Spelling for Dummies book for him. If he can get that in order, I think he's locked and loaded. I always thought, they call Laura lights out, right? She doesn't miss. He legitimately doesn't miss, and he doesn't blink. And so I think he got stung. I tease him a lot. I twist the knife routinely as much as I possibly can about that spelling error. But that's like an ace level, like teeny tiny mistake. to decide a tournament final, because who knows where it would have gone if we go to sudden death. We might be still playing. So it's tough to call Damon versus Gold Leader, but I think that's your tournament final there, if I had to put money on it.
And I love Gold Leader. I mean, if he's able to have enough patience to do a show every weekly with Taco, anyone that guy deserves my respect.
I give him a lot of shit. I do, because as a competitor, he can suck it, and whatever. But as a person, he is one of my favorite people that I've met in the Schmoedown. He works his ass off. He is dedicated to this game and to the league, and he brings. I'm still learning the character aspect of it. I know there are people out there that don't have a great taste for my character work in their mouth, and I'm sort of like Collins and some other folks. Like, I'm working really hard at it. He just comes in and just naturally flexes that side of the house, and that's something that the Star Wars division, I think, desperately needed.
Yeah.
And I know he brings a better sort of skill in me out on that front. It's easier to sort of go back and forth with somebody like that that's invested in it. So no matter how this tournament shakes out, whether it's Ross, Alex, Molly, whoever, I think that spectacular matchup is just going to be a lot of fun. Like this championship match against Drew was incredibly stressful for both of us and tough. It was just sort of two, like if two nearly undefeated or nearly undefeated teams make it to the Super Bowl, there's like a lot of pent up emotion in that. I see anybody coming out of that tournament, it's just going to be a fun match, and to be able to do it in front of a live crowd in LA is going to be phenomenal.
Now, last question before leaving. Look, I'm going to be blunt here. With today's match, it is not looking good for the Den, right? It's pretty dire. But you are champion. Ross is in the tournament. If Ross makes it to the end and you are able to defend your belt, is there still a chance for the Den, or right now it's just, hey, we're hoping for the best and not being the last three teams?
I don't want to ever count us out. I mean, we're not, no shade to the Stars and to Swag, but we're not down at the bottom like they are. They just had rough seasons for a variety of factors. No fault of their individual players and the work that they've put in. But, I don't want to count us out. I think the math is probably pretty dire at this point. I think you probably need to see a tournament win, a spectacular defense, Saul to run the table and defend, or I guess get to spectacular at this point, and then a team's tournament victory. I mean, the stars would kind of have to align on that front. I think where we sit as a faction is we now have an identity. We came into this season. It's almost like what you're seeing with the Cleveland Browns right now in the NFL. Like they suddenly feel like they have an identity coming from this unmoored team that just sort of existed. And it's a credit to Kate. I've said it before, but I don't know what the rosters are going to look like next year. But the thought of anchoring the Den and being sort of the specialty team to watch, if Saul agrees and he's able to get a roster slot, and I'm lucky enough to come back to the Den, having that 1-2 punch and then finding our singles players from there, I think Kate is going to find herself in a vastly different position when it comes to locking up those three singles spots than she was negotiating with players coming into this season. And I'm proud to have been a part of that. I think it's awesome to have finally given some validation. Not that she needed it, but to bring a belt home is significant. And she's the last manager in the faction era to not win one. So it's felt really special to be able to deliver that back, because it's a return on investment in me. And to be the one that does that first out of the gate feels special.
Yeah, that was just an amazing match. So much fun. God, I don't know. I'll be honest, dude. Even though you won it, I think I got more excited than you did at the end. You were No, but I mean, I was like, dude. I mean, I stripped my skippies, dude, with my windows wide open, was dancing in circles like a witch in the moonlight, dude. It was awesome.
I screamed so loud, my neighbor upstairs actually complained.
Nice.
So
I'm glad that I brought that out in both of you.
Yeah.
Involuntary nudity and a criminal offense. Possibly two criminal offenses.
I was gonna say, like, J-Way involuntary nudity is probably a criminal offense, sorry, bro.
I'm in my apartment, man, and so if people want to look in and see that, that's on them. But I think the more it's not. I would be more concerned about their eyes burning out of their skull than any criminality of the situation. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, Thomas, thank you very much. This was a last-minute stream. Thank you for your time.
I felt bad. We had some other circumstances come up over the weekend. I know you had me on the docket this past weekend, but wasn't able to make that work. So I really wanted to make sure I got in with you guys because I love talking to you both.
Thank you. Yeah. And I gotta say, it's been an honor to be able to follow you in this journey and having back and forth with you. This is an amazing journey you had, and I can't wait to continue this journey with you once you stay champion for a while, because I am officially a major show, and I'm probably going to be for a little while.
Well, if I see you, I'll make sure to give you
nice.
Nice.
So yeah.
And I gotta say, like, I am gonna wear a Habs jersey whenever I do meet you, and I am gonna put Carolina sucks at the bottom because they do. But that's Well,
at least our friendship will end in person.
There you go.
Fitting.
No, you're not.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, you banged the desk again.
I moved my shit again. I built this desk myself, so it wobbles. That's a true story. But everybody, tune in this Saturday. One of Thomas's teammates, Peggy Gubbins, will be on. And I mean, I am just going to say that something else happened with the call, and I'm definitely going to be talking about that. I'm not going to rant. I'm done with like last week's huge rant, like the video. That was me getting out everything I'd pinned inside all season long. From now on, it's like I'm not gonna like rant and rail about it, but I'm gonna bring it up every time it happens. So
I gotta be honest, you're actually starting to convince me, right? Because I got mad. I got mad in this one, and I never get mad in Schmoedown in general. And you're starting to influence me because I'm starting to get pissed off with this rule. But hey.
See, I'm not as stupid as you thought I was, but be sure to tune in 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Peggy Gubbins will be joining us, and screw it. This Monday, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna switch things around a little bit. This Monday, I'm gonna drop John Roca's From Birth to Schmoedown this Monday. It was gonna be someone else's. I'm gonna push that back a week. Because I had just the best time talking to John Roca the other day. So I want to get that out there for you guys ASAP because I can't stop thinking about it. But I'm going to quit rambling on and let this man go and live his life with his belt and his family. Thank you again, sir. Everybody, tune in Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Have a great night.
Bonsoir.
You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.